In the early morning, when the sky is still soft and pale, there is a moment that many people never notice, a moment that arrives before the noise of life begins, a moment when the world feels open, calm, and full of secret possibilities. And this is where our story starts today, in a quiet hour when successful people choose to rise, when the air feels gentle, and when the mind feels like a clear, empty room waiting for new ideas to enter. I want you to imagine this moment with me as if you are stepping into it yourself, as if this is the beginning of your own day, because in this episode of the Today English podcast, we are not only learning how successful people start their day, but we are learning how to speak, listen, and feel English through a warm, slow story, a story that you can follow easily, like a walk through the morning light. So let us begin with a simple picture, a small room, a soft alarm, and a person slowly opening their eyes to a new day. The man in this story is named Daniel, and Daniel is not famous, at least not yet. He is not a CEO of a giant company. He is not a billionaire. He is not a world champion of anything, but he is a person who wants to grow, who wants to learn, who wants to live a better life than the one he lived before, and most importantly, he is someone who is beginning to understand that success is not something that appears suddenly, like magic, but something that grows slowly inside a person, like a plant that needs time, light, water, and care. When we meet Daniel, he is lying in his bed early in the morning, before the sun fully rises, listening to the quiet sound of his alarm. It is not loud or angry. It is soft, almost like a whisper saying, "Good morning, it is time." And Daniel opens his eyes, not because he is excited, not because he feels brave or powerful, but simply because he has made a promise to himself, a small promise that he will start his mornings with intention. This is the first habit of successful people. They begin their day before their day begins. They wake up not when the world forces them to wake up, but when they choose to. And Daniel wants to try this. As he sits up in bed, he feels a little tired, a little sleepy. His room is cool, and the air feels fresh on his face. He looks at the window, where a tiny line of light is starting to appear. It is not strong yet, but it is gentle, like the start of a story. For a moment, Daniel thinks about going back to sleep. He thinks about the warmth of the blanket, the comfort of staying where he is, the familiar feeling of delaying life just a little longer. But then he remembers the promise he made last night, a simple promise to stand up and greet the morning with a calm mind. So he breathes slowly, places his feet on the floor, and stands. And this is where the morning truly begins. Daniel walks toward his small kitchen, moving slowly, almost in silence. He does not turn on his phone. He does not check messages. He does not look at the news or open social media. He does something very simple. He fills a glass of water. He lifts it to his lips and he drinks. The water is cool, and it wakes his body in a gentle way. Many successful people begin their day like this, slowly hydrating, allowing their body to wake fully before they fill their mind with tasks or worries. Daniel feels the water travel down his throat, and for some reason, it makes him feel alive, as if he is saying good morning not only to the world, but to himself. Now, here is something interesting. Daniel has never been a morning person. In fact, for most of his life, he woke up late, rushed to work, skipped breakfast, and felt tired by noon. But recently, he watched a few interviews with people he admired, writers, designers, athletes, entrepreneurs, and one thing surprised him: almost all of them had strong morning routines. They did not all do the same things, but they all did something meaningful at the start of their day. Some meditated. Some ran. Some read. Some wrote. Some prayed. Some planned. Some reflected. But all of them used their mornings like a sacred time. Daniel remembered one line from an interview: The morning is the foundation of the day. If the foundation is strong, the rest of the day can stand tall. This idea stayed with him. So here he is now, beginning his first attempt at creating his own strong morning foundation. He sits at a small wooden table, still not touching his phone, still not letting the world enter his mind. He closes his eyes for a moment. He breathes in slowly, and he breathes out slowly. He feels the quiet around him, the kind of quiet that only exists early in the morning. And as he breathes, something inside him softens. He feels a gentle space open inside his chest, a space where worries do not live, a space where clarity can grow. He does not call this meditation. He does not even think of it as something spiritual. To him, it is just breathing. But this simple breathing begins to change something inside him. He realizes how rare it is to sit in silence, to be present, to breathe without rushing. And he begins to understand why successful people protect their mornings. Mornings offer a rare freshness, a chance to start again without noise, without distraction, without the heavy pressure of yesterday. After a few minutes, Daniel opens his eyes. The sky outside is brighter now, glowing softly through the window. He stands up and stretches his arms above his head, feeling his muscles wake up, feeling a light warmth spread through his body. This stretch makes him smile. It is simple, but it feels like a small gift to himself. He walks to the bathroom, splashes cold water on his face, and lets the chill surprise him, energize him. It is like telling his body, we are awake now. We are here. Today is beginning. When he returns to the kitchen, he decides to make a cup of coffee. Not because he needs it, but because he enjoys the small ritual of preparing it. The sound of the water, the smell of the beans, the soft steam rising, it all feels calming. He holds the warm cup in his hands and leans against the counter, listening to the quiet around him. For a moment, he is not thinking about work or responsibilities. He is simply present in his own morning. This is another quiet truth of successful people. They make small rituals that give them peace. These rituals do not need to be big or complicated. They can be as simple as stretching, drinking water, reading one page of a book, or enjoying a warm drink slowly. These small actions create a sense of control, a sense of order, a sense of calm that stays with them throughout the day. As Daniel drinks his coffee, he thinks about the idea of success. He always imagines success as something loud, something bright, something powerful. He imagined big achievements, big rewards, big moments where the world claps for you. But in this soft morning light, he begins to understand that success also has a quiet side. It has a beginning that is not loud at all. It starts in moments like this. Small, calm, intentional moments that shape the rest of the day. He walks to his desk and sits down. On the table is a notebook. It is new with clean white pages. Daniel bought it yesterday because he wanted to start journaling in the morning, something he heard many successful people do. But now, as he opens the notebook, he feels nervous. He wonders what he should write. Should he write goals? Plans? Dreams? Problems? The blank page looks like a challenge. He decides to start simply. At the top of the page, he writes the date. Then he writes a question. How do I feel today? And slowly, in simple sentences, he answers it. He writes that he feels calm, a little tired, a little unsure, but also hopeful. He writes that waking up early was not easy, but it feels meaningful. He writes that he wants to be more focused today, more patient with himself, more open to learning. He writes that he wants his day to feel slow and intentional, not rushed and chaotic. As he writes, he begins to feel lighter, as if the act of writing is helping him understand himself better. This is the power of reflective writing. It is not about producing something perfect. It is about meeting yourself on the page, quietly, honestly, without judgment. Successful people understand that clarity does not arrive by accident. It grows through reflection, through the gentle practice of understanding yourself a little more each day. When Daniel finishes writing, he closes the notebook softly and places it back on the table. He feels a small sense of achievement, like he has already done something good for himself today. This feeling inspires him. He looks at the clock. It is still early. He has time before work, time that he usually never had, because he usually woke up at the last minute. But now, because he woke up early, he has a gift, time for himself. He decides to go for a short walk. He puts on his shoes, grabs his keys, and steps outside. The morning air is cool, fresh, almost sweet. The streets are quiet. Only a few people are outside, an older man walking his dog, a woman jogging slowly, a cyclist passing by. The world feels gentle. As Daniel walks, he listens to the sound of his footsteps on the pavement. He notices how the light touches the buildings, how the trees move softly in the breeze, how the sky grows brighter with every step he takes. This walk feels like a small adventure. Not because anything exciting is happening, but because Daniel is experiencing the morning in a new way. For the first time, he is not rushing. He is simply moving through the world with curiosity. He begins to understand something. Successful people start their day not with stress, but with awareness. They look around. They notice things. They give themselves space to think, to feel, to breathe. And this awareness becomes strength throughout the day. As he continues walking, Daniel thinks about his life. He thinks about the goals he has, the dreams he hides inside his heart, the person he wants to become. For the first time, these goals do not feel far away. They feel possible. Not easy, but possible. Because he is doing something different. He is changing the beginning of his day, and by changing the beginning, he is changing the path. He walks for about 15 minutes, then slowly makes his way back home. When he returns, he feels awake, grounded, and ready for the day ahead. He steps inside his apartment, closes the door gently, and stands in the quiet for a moment. He realizes something important. The morning is not only a time, it is a message. It is the first message you send to yourself every day. And Daniel's message this morning was clear. I am trying. I am growing. I am showing up for myself. This idea fills him with warmth. He feels proud, not in a loud way, but in a soft, meaningful way. He begins to prepare for work. He takes a shower, gets dressed, and finally, after everything else, he checks his phone for the first time. He notices messages, emails, notifications. Normally these things would make him feel stressed. But today, he feels different. He feels stronger, calmer, and more ready to face whatever the day brings. As he gathers his things and prepares to leave the house, he looks at the window one last time. The sun is fully up now, bright and warm. The world is awake. And Daniel feels awake too, inside and out. He whispers to himself, "This is a good start." And so, the morning ends, not with noise, but with a quiet certainty that he has begun something new, something gentle, something strong. Successful people understand the power of beginnings. They know that how you start shapes how you continue. And Daniel, in his small, simple way, has taken his first step. But this is only the beginning of his journey. The real challenge begins now as the day unfolds, as obstacles appear, as distractions try to pull him away from his new path. The question is, will he continue? Will he protect his morning routine? Will he grow strong enough to carry this calm into the rest of his life? We will explore these questions in the next section of our story, where the morning turns into the day and the lessons of successful people become real challenges in Daniel's life. When the morning ends and the day begins, something changes inside the world and inside the mind. The quiet softness of sunrise slowly gives way to the movement of people, the sound of traffic, the rhythm of work, the voices of responsibilities calling your name. And for someone like Daniel, who has just started learning how to begin his day with calm intention, the transition from the stillness of morning to the noise of the everyday world becomes the true test. It is not difficult to feel peaceful when everything around you is peaceful. The challenge begins when the world starts moving fast, when problems appear, when expectations rise, and when distractions pull you in every direction. In this section of our story, we will follow Daniel through his daytime routine, and we will see how the lessons of successful people begin to shape not only his mornings, but his whole day. After returning from his morning walk and preparing for work, Daniel steps outside his apartment building with a quiet confidence. The sun is now bright, and the city has fully awakened. Cars pass by, people hurry down the street, and the day feels alive. Daniel takes a deep breath as he begins his walk to the train station. This part of his routine is familiar to him, the same streets, the same sounds, the same path he has walked hundreds of times before, but something feels different inside him. He feels less rushed, less tense, as if the slow, intentional morning has created a small bubble of calm around him. And as he walks, he tries to hold on to that feeling. But life is not always gentle. As soon as Daniel reaches the station, he sees a crowd of people waiting, and he hears the announcement, "The train is delayed." Normally, this would make him anxious. He would look at his phone repeatedly, check the time, feel his heart race a little as he imagined being late for work. He would feel stress rise inside him, and his whole morning would collapse into frustration. But today, because he started his day differently, something inside him reacts differently. He notices the frustration, but he does not get lost in it. Instead, he remembers his breathing. He inhales slowly. He exhales slowly. He lets the feeling pass. He looks around and sees that many people are upset, rushing, complaining, shaking their heads. But Daniel stands quietly, his mind steady. He thinks to himself, "I cannot control the train, but I can control my response." This simple thought makes him feel strong. And this is another small truth that many successful people understand. Stress is not only created by events, it is created by how we respond to events. A calm morning creates a stronger mind. A stronger mind creates a healthier reaction. And a healthier reaction creates a more peaceful life. When the train finally arrives, the crowd moves quickly, pushing forward, rushing to find space. Daniel steps on carefully and finds a small spot to stand. The train is full. People are pressed together. The air feels warm. The train begins to move with a slow shake. Daniel holds onto the rail and tries to stay centered. He lets the noise fade into the background. He looks out the window as the city passes by in flashes, windows, buildings, bridges, light, shadow. He feels his body moving with the motion of the train. And for the first time, he feels like he is observing the world rather than reacting to it. As he stands there, something interesting happens. He begins to feel grateful. Not for the crowded train, and not for the delay, but for the small space he has created inside himself this morning. A space of calm. A space of clarity. A space where stress does not immediately win. He thinks about how he used to start his mornings, with rushing, with checking his phone before even getting out of bed, with skipping breakfast, with leaving the house half prepared, with his mind full of pressure even before the day officially began. And now, with just one new morning routine, he feels the difference. It is not dramatic, but it is noticeable. It is something real. When he reaches his stop, Daniel steps off the train and walks toward his office building. The tall glass structure rises above the street, reflecting the bright sky. As he walks through the entrance, He greets the security guard with a gentle smile. The guard nods back. Daniel takes the elevator to the 6th floor, listening to the soft music inside the elevator, tapping his foot slightly to the rhythm. When the doors open, he steps out and walks to his desk. His workplace is open and bright, with large windows that let the sunlight in. His colleagues are already settling in, placing their bags down, turning on computers, talking to each other in low voices. Daniel sits at his desk, turns on his computer, and takes a moment before starting work. He does something small but powerful. He plans his day. He takes out a piece of paper and writes 3 things he wants to focus on. Not 10 things. Not a long list that makes him feel overwhelmed. Just 3. 3 small, clear goals. Successful people often do this. They choose what matters most and place their energy there. Daniel writes his 3 tasks slowly, thinking carefully about what will make his day meaningful and productive. When he finishes writing, he feels prepared. The day begins like many days do. Emails arrive. Requests appear. A colleague asks for help. A small problem comes up. But Daniel approaches each task with calm, moving through them one by one. He notices something interesting. Because he started his day with intention, he feels more patient with others, more organized, more focused. His mind is not jumping from one worry to another. It is steady. He feels present. And because he feels present, the people around him respond to him differently. His colleague Sarah asks him a question and smiles, saying, "You seem relaxed today." Daniel laughs gently and says, "Just had a peaceful morning." She nods and says, "Maybe I should try that too." Around midday, Daniel takes a break. He stands up, stretches lightly, and walks outside for some fresh air. The sun feels warm on his face, and the sky is a clear blue. He sits on a bench near a small tree, listening to the sound of birds. He closes his eyes and breathes deeply. He realizes something. The morning routine he practiced today is not just about waking up early. It is about creating the emotional energy he wants to carry through the day. It is about building a foundation that supports him no matter what happens. But the day does not stay easy. When Daniel returns to his desk, he finds a message from his manager saying that a project needs to be finished earlier than expected. Daniel's heart drops a little. He knows this means more work, more pressure, more decisions. For a moment, he feels the familiar wave of stress rising again. But then he pauses. He remembers his morning walk. He remembers his quiet breathing. He remembers the clear feeling he had before the noise of the world began. And he thinks to himself, "I can handle this. I will take it step by step." He breaks the project into smaller pieces, organizes each part, and begins working calmly. The hours pass slowly. The work is not easy. He makes mistakes, corrects them, gets tired, stretches, drinks water, continues. Outside the window, the light changes as the day moves forward. Inside the office, the sound of keyboards fills the room. Daniel stays focused. And slowly, piece by piece, he completes the project. When he finishes, he sends it to his manager with a short, clear message. Then he leans back in his chair and takes a deep breath. He feels proud. Not because he completed something perfect, but because he stayed calm through something difficult. And this is a quiet lesson that many successful people know. Success is often the result of emotional discipline, of staying steady when things get uncomfortable. The morning is the training. The day is the test. When the afternoon ends and the sky outside begins to turn golden, Daniel packs his things and leaves the office. As he walks through the building, he feels lighter than usual. When he steps outside, the evening air greets him with a soft breeze. He begins walking toward the train station, feeling tired but satisfied, like he has lived the day with more clarity than usual. On the train ride home, He watches the sunset through the window. The colors in the sky shift from gold to orange to soft pink. The city passes by again, but now it feels slower, more peaceful. Daniel thinks about his day. He thinks about the small challenges, the small victories, the moments of stress, the moments of calm. And he realizes something important. A morning routine is not a magical solution. It does not remove problems. It does not erase stress. But it changes how you move through them. It changes the way your mind reacts. It gives you tools, space, and strength. When Daniel reaches his stop, he steps off the train and walks home. His apartment feels quiet and warm when he enters. He takes off his shoes, places his bag down, and sits on the couch. He feels a gentle satisfaction spreading through his body. He thinks about the old version of himself, the one who used to start his days in chaos, and he feels grateful for the change he made this morning. Even if it is small, it is real. He takes out his notebook, the same one he used in the morning, and opens it. The white page feels welcoming. He writes the date at the top. Then he writes a simple question. How was my day? And slowly, in calm, simple words, he answers it. He writes about the calm morning. He writes about the delayed train. He writes about the stressful project. He writes about how he felt when he stayed patient. He writes about the small successes. He writes about the feeling of peace that stayed with him. And as he writes, he begins to see the pattern. The morning shaped the day. It did not control everything, but it influenced everything. When he finishes writing, he closes the notebook and rests it on the table. He breathes deeply and smiles softly. He feels ready to rest, ready to enjoy the evening, ready to close the day with the same intention he used to open it. And this brings us to an important realization. Successful people do not only start their day with purpose, they move through their day with awareness. They understand that every moment holds a choice: react or respond, rush or pause, worry or breathe. They understand that the morning is not only a routine but a mindset, a way of shaping the rest of the hours that follow. But Daniel's story does not end here. The next part of his journey will lead us to something deeper, the emotional habits that successful people build between morning and night, the inner voice that guides them, the invisible structure that helps them grow, and the way they recover their energy during the day. What happens when Daniel faces bigger challenges? What happens when his routine is tested again? What happens when he begins to transform from the inside? We will continue this journey in the next section, where the day slowly begins to fade and deeper lessons reveal themselves. As the day slowly fades and the sun begins its descent, painting the sky with golden and pink colors, Daniel realizes that the quiet power of mornings does not end when the day becomes busy. The evening is a special time, just as important as the morning, because it offers reflection, calm, and preparation for the next day. Many people rush through the evening, thinking only about dinner, entertainment, or checking the phone, but successful people understand that how you end your day shapes how you begin the next one. And Daniel, still learning the rhythms of a productive and calm life, begins to notice these patterns as he walks home from work, feeling the fatigue of the day settle in his muscles and the sense of accomplishment fill his heart. He takes slow, deliberate steps, noticing the movement of the wind, the sounds of the city, the changing colors of the sky, and the rhythm of his own breath. It is not only a walk to return home, it is a continuation of the day's lessons, a moment to observe and reflect, to understand what the morning created and how it can extend into the evening. When Daniel reaches his apartment, he takes off his shoes and closes the door softly. The quiet hum of his home feels like a gentle welcome. For a few minutes, he simply sits on the couch, feeling the tension leave his body. He thinks about the day, the delayed train, the crowded office, the stressful project, the small victories, all of it forms a story that is more than just a series of events. It is a story of choices, of responses, of emotional discipline. Daniel realizes that the most important part of success is not only achieving goals, but also how you navigate challenges, how you respond to frustration, how you carry calm through chaos. This realization makes him feel quietly proud, not because he has conquered something extraordinary, but because he has begun to understand the invisible strength that shapes successful people's lives. Daniel moves to the kitchen to prepare a simple dinner. He does not rush, and he does not overthink. He chooses ingredients carefully, slices vegetables with attention, listens to the gentle sound of water running in the sink, feels the warmth of the stove, and notices the smells rising from the food. It is a small, mindful act, but it matters. The simple preparation of food, the act of nourishing the body, becomes another part of his evening routine. Many successful people understand that caring for your body is as important as caring for your mind. Without a nourished body, the mind cannot function fully. Daniel eats slowly, chewing carefully, tasting each bite, and feeling gratitude for the meal he has prepared. This is a quiet lesson. Small actions, performed intentionally, create a sense of balance and peace that spreads into every part of life. After dinner, Daniel moves to a comfortable chair by the window. He opens his notebook again. It has become a friend, a companion in his journey of learning how to live intentionally. He begins to write about the day, answering simple questions. What went well? What challenged me? What can I improve tomorrow? Writing is not only a way to remember events, it is a way to process emotions, to observe patterns, and to grow. Daniel notices that his writing is slower than before. His words are deliberate, careful, simple, yet full of meaning. He writes about the calm morning that set the foundation for the day. He writes about the moments of tension and how he handled them. He writes about the sense of accomplishment he feels, the small victories that often go unnoticed. And as he writes, he feels a quiet energy building inside him, a strength that comes from understanding himself more deeply. This is the reflection that successful people practice consistently, noticing, understanding, and learning from the day before sleep, so tomorrow can begin with clarity and intention. Once he finishes writing, Daniel closes his notebook and leans back. He lets his eyes wander to the sky outside, where the light is softening, where the first stars may begin to appear. He takes a deep breath and feels the stillness of the evening wrap around him like a gentle blanket. It is a different kind of calm from the morning. The morning is about potential, about preparation, about awakening. The evening is about understanding, about integration, about resting with what has happened. Both are essential, and both must be treated with care. Daniel begins to understand that success is not a straight line. It is a cycle, a balance, a rhythm of beginnings and endings, of calm and effort, of reflection and action. The day is not over until it is fully understood, until the lessons are absorbed, until the mind is quiet enough to rest. Daniel decides to end his day with a small habit of gratitude. He writes 3 simple things that he is grateful for: the quiet morning, the successful completion of a project, and the calm evening. It is not a long list, but it is meaningful. Gratitude, many successful people say, is a way to remind yourself of what matters, to see the beauty in ordinary moments, to create a positive mindset that strengthens the mind for future challenges. Daniel feels warmth in his chest as he writes. He notices that even small, ordinary moments, like the taste of food, the sound of wind, the quiet presence of self, can bring happiness if they are noticed and appreciated. He realizes that happiness and success are not always about achieving something extraordinary. They are about seeing, feeling, and responding to life fully, even in the smallest moments. After his gratitude practice, Daniel prepares for bed. He takes a warm shower, feeling the water relax his muscles and calm his mind. He chooses comfortable pajamas, adjusts the blanket, and climbs into bed. But before closing his eyes completely, he reviews his morning and evening lessons silently in his mind. He thinks about the calmness of waking early, the intentional steps he took throughout the day, the way he responded to challenges, and the gratitude he felt in the evening. This review is gentle, slow, and reflective. It is not about judging himself, but about noticing patterns, about appreciating growth, and about understanding what works and what can be improved tomorrow. The evening review becomes a quiet bridge between the day that has passed and the day that will come, creating continuity, awareness, and intention in Daniel's life. Daniel lies in bed, feeling his body sink into the mattress, feeling his heart and mind settle. The quiet of the evening surrounds him. He notices how his breathing has slowed naturally. He notices how his thoughts are clearer. He notices a sense of calm satisfaction that he rarely felt before. He realizes that his day was not perfect. There were moments of stress, moments of uncertainty, moments when he doubted himself. But these moments do not define the day. What defines the day is the awareness, the response, and the intention that he cultivated. This realization fills him with a quiet sense of achievement. Success, he now understands, is not just about results or recognition. It is about presence, awareness, and choice, repeated consistently over time. As Daniel drifts toward sleep, he reflects on a small but powerful lesson. The choices he makes in the morning influence the rest of the day. The choices he makes during the day influence his evening. And the choices he makes in the evening influence the morning that follows. Life is a cycle, a continuous flow, and success is not a single achievement. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a harmony between effort and rest, action and reflection, beginning and ending. He understands that even on days when the world is chaotic, when unexpected problems arise, when stress tries to enter, he can return to this rhythm. He can return to calm. He can return to intention. He can return to growth. And in this quiet evening, Daniel feels something else, hope. Not the loud, dramatic hope of stories or movies, but the soft, grounded hope that grows from practice, from awareness, from consistent small actions. He hopes that tomorrow he will wake early again, that he will follow his morning routine, that he will carry calm into challenges, that he will notice small victories, that he will be grateful, that he will continue learning. He hopes that success will grow, quietly but steadily, like the roots of a tree beneath the soil, invisible at first, but strong enough to support the branches above. This hope is important because it is the bridge between reflection and transformation. Daniel realizes that without hope, the morning routine might feel empty, the day might feel meaningless, the evening might feel like a repetition. But with hope, every choice, every habit, every step takes on meaning. Successful people understand this deeply. Their habits, their routines, their awareness, their calm are not about perfection. They're about building a foundation for hope, energy, and growth, day after day, moment after moment. As he drifts closer to sleep, Daniel smiles softly. He is not perfect. He is still learning. He still struggles. But he has begun a journey of presence, intention, and awareness. He has begun to understand how mornings, days, and evenings are connected. He has begun to experience the small power of calm, deliberate actions, the quiet strength of consistency, and the importance of reflection and gratitude. And in this moment, lying in the quiet darkness, he feels ready to rest, ready to wake again, ready to continue building the life he wants. This is a small but essential lesson for all of us. Success is not a sudden moment of glory. It is not only a finished project, a promotion, or recognition. Success is the quiet work we do every day, how we start the morning, how we navigate the day, how we reflect in the evening, and how we prepare for the next day. It is the choices we make when no one is watching, the habits we build, the awareness we cultivate. And just like Daniel, anyone can begin this journey. Anyone can start small, start simple, start intentionally, and grow step by step. As sleep fully embraces him, Daniel's mind slows, his body relaxes, and he feels a quiet, deep satisfaction. He understands that tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new choices. But he also understands something deeper: the calm, intentional morning, the reflective, grateful evening, and the awareness carried throughout the day create a life that feels grounded, strong, and meaningful. And this understanding, even before sleep, feels like a victory in itself. Tomorrow will be a continuation of this story, a chance to face new challenges, learn new lessons, and practice the habits that create success. But tonight, Daniel rests. Tonight, he feels the quiet joy of having started something important. Tonight, he embraces the calm power of habit, awareness, and reflection. And tonight, the lessons of successful people, those small, consistent actions, that balance of effort and rest, that careful attention to mornings, days, and evenings take root inside him, ready to grow stronger with every new day. The next morning arrives quietly, with a gentle light spilling through the curtains. Daniel wakes up before the alarm, instinctively, as if his body remembers the rhythm he started yesterday. There is a softness in the air, a freshness that makes him feel alive. He stretches slowly, feeling his muscles respond to the morning, feeling the energy he nurtured yesterday still present in his body. Today is not a special day, not a holiday, not a celebration, just a normal day. Yet for Daniel, it is important. Because normal days, when approached intentionally, become extraordinary in their effects. And this is something that successful people understand deeply. The power of habits, repeated consistently, transforms ordinary moments into lasting growth. Daniel gets out of bed quietly and walks to the kitchen. He fills a glass with water, drinks it slowly, and feels it travel through his body. This simple act, repeated day after day, is more powerful than it seems. Successful people know that small habits, like drinking water in the morning, stretching, journaling, or reflecting, are not just routines, they are signals to the body and mind, telling them that the day will be intentional, focused, and calm. Daniel picks up his notebook, opens it to a fresh page, and writes the date. Then he writes a short sentence about how he feels. I feel awake, ready, calm. Even these few words set a tone for the day. They remind him of the power of starting intentionally. They remind him that success begins not with results, but with preparation and awareness. After drinking water, he steps outside for his morning walk. The city is waking up, but it is quieter than it will be in an hour. The streets feel fresh, the air crisp. He notices details he might have ignored before: the soft chirping of birds, the rustle of leaves, the smell of fresh bread from a bakery down the street. These observations, simple as they are, create a sense of presence. They anchor him in the moment, grounding him before the challenges of the day begin. Successful people often describe this as centering themselves. It is not a magical skill. It is a habit cultivated slowly, consistently, by paying attention to the present, by observing rather than rushing, by noticing the details that most people ignore. When Daniel returns, he decides to add a small habit he read about yesterday, a short exercise routine. He stretches for 10 minutes, moves his body deliberately, and feels his energy rise. His muscles awaken, his heart beats steadily, and his mind feels clear. Exercise is not just about the body, it is about signaling to the mind that he is ready to face the day. Successful people understand this connection. The body and mind are linked. Care for one and the other follows. Daniel finishes the exercises and takes a brief shower, feeling refreshed and prepared. Then he sits at his desk, notebook and pen in hand. He reviews his tasks for the day, just 3 important tasks. Writing them down, prioritizing them, thinking carefully about each, gives him clarity. Yesterday, he completed his project calmly, step by step, and today he wants to continue that pattern. Habits are most powerful when repeated consistently. By starting his day with water, reflection, movement, and planning, he has created a sequence that strengthens his mind, guides his actions, and builds emotional resilience. Each small habit is a piece of a larger framework, and each piece supports the others. When Daniel begins his workday, he notices something important. Challenges do not disappear because of habits. The train is crowded, emails pile up, a colleague asks for urgent help. Life does not wait for preparation. But what has changed is his response. The calmness of his morning extends into the day. He pauses before reacting. He breathes. He evaluates his options. He chooses the response that aligns with his goals rather than immediate emotion. This is a key principle successful people follow. Habits create a buffer between stimulus and reaction, a moment of awareness that allows intentional choice. It is this moment that transforms ordinary actions into powerful results. During a particularly busy hour, a client calls with a complaint about a mistake in a report. In the past, Daniel might have panicked or rushed to fix it, feeling frustration and stress. But today, he pauses. He listens carefully to the client, acknowledges the concern, and responds calmly. He promises to address the issue and then plans his steps methodically. The complaint is resolved efficiently, but more importantly, Daniel feels in control. He notices that the habits he cultivated, the calm morning, the reflection, the awareness, have given him emotional strength. Habits are not only actions, they are emotional anchors, tools that help him navigate challenges without losing composure. As midday arrives, Daniel takes a break. He steps outside, walks slowly, and practices a habit of observation and gratitude. He notices the sunlight, the movement of people, the changing clouds, and he feels a gentle appreciation for these ordinary details. He writes them briefly in his notebook: sunlight on the street, laughter of children, smell of coffee from a cafe. These small observations are exercises in mindfulness. They create awareness of the present and appreciation for the ordinary. Successful people often use similar practices: gratitude, observation, reflection, noticing small victories. These habits may seem trivial, but they compound over time, shaping a mindset that sees opportunities rather than problems, abundance rather than scarcity, calm rather than chaos. After returning to work, Daniel continues with his tasks. He completes a complex project more efficiently than he expected. He notices how the habits he built, planning, prioritizing, staying present, allow him to work without panic or distraction. When the workday ends, he feels satisfied not just because tasks are done, but because he has practiced discipline, awareness, and focus. Habits, he realizes, are not just routines, they are frameworks that support both productivity and emotional well-being. In the evening, Daniel returns home and continues his practice. He writes about his day, focusing on moments where his habits made a difference. He reflects on how his calm morning helped him handle the client's complaint, how observing small details brought moments of joy, how planning allowed him to act efficiently rather than react impulsively. Reflection is another habit successful people prioritize. It is not enough to do, It is important to notice, understand, and adjust. Reflection transforms repeated actions into learning and insight, strengthening the foundation of future success. After reflection, Daniel takes a quiet walk around the block. The evening air is cool, and the city has settled into a slower rhythm. He notices the differences between morning and evening. In the morning, the light is soft and full of promise. In the evening, it is warm, gentle, and calming. He notices the rhythm of his own breathing and the sensations of his body, appreciating the simple act of moving intentionally. Habits like this, walking mindfully, observing surroundings, breathing deeply, may seem small, but they compound with larger habits like morning routines and planning. They create a life where intentionality, presence, and calm are the default state, not the exception. Returning home, Daniel prepares a light dinner, eats slowly, and writes 3 things he is grateful for: the productive morning, the calm handling of challenges, and the peaceful evening walk. Gratitude, repeated consistently, becomes a habit of seeing abundance and positivity. Successful people do not only react to success, they notice it, cultivate it, and expand it. This quiet evening ritual is as important as the morning walk or the exercise routine. It closes the day intentionally, shaping tomorrow's beginning. Finally, Daniel prepares for bed. He takes a shower, wears comfortable pajamas, and climbs into bed. Before sleeping, he spends a few minutes visualizing the next day, waking early, following habits, staying present, handling challenges calmly. Visualization is another habit many successful people use. It is a form of rehearsal that strengthens the mind, creating familiarity and confidence for future tasks. Daniel does not overthink. He simply imagines the sequence of intentional actions, the calm responses, the mindful awareness, and the quiet satisfaction of the day. This visualization creates a sense of readiness and optimism, making the mind and body feel aligned for tomorrow. As he drifts to sleep, Daniel reflects on an essential insight. Habits are not restrictions. They are guides. They are frameworks that protect energy, focus, and clarity. They allow freedom within structure. The morning habits he created influence the day. The day's intentional actions influence the evening. The evening reflection and gratitude influence the next morning. This cycle, repeated consistently, transforms ordinary life into extraordinary growth. Success, Daniel realizes, is not a sudden event. It is not a result of luck or talent alone. It is the repeated practice of small, intentional habits that shape the mind, body, and emotions over time. Each habit is like a stone in a path. One stone alone may seem insignificant, but together they create a strong road toward growth, resilience, and fulfillment. Daniel feels a quiet pride, not from achievements alone, but from the awareness, discipline, and consistency he is cultivating. He understands that building habits is a journey, sometimes slow, sometimes challenging, but always meaningful. Tonight, Daniel sleeps with hope, calm, and readiness. He understands that each day is an opportunity to practice, refine, and grow. Tomorrow, he will wake, repeat his morning habits, carry intentionality into the day, reflect in the evening, and close with gratitude. Step by step, day by day, habit by habit, life transforms. And in this understanding, Daniel feels the quiet strength that successful people know so well. The power of habits, repeated consistently, builds not only achievement but resilience, focus, and peace. The next morning, Daniel wakes up to the familiar, gentle light. He stretches and breathes deeply, feeling the energy that comes from consistent habits. Yet, he notices something new, a small unease. The world outside is busy, and his mind, though calmer than before, feels a pull toward distraction. He remembers reading about how successful people handle distractions, not by avoiding them completely, but by noticing them, acknowledging them, and then returning focus to what matters most. Today, Daniel wants to practice this skill. He starts his morning routine as usual: water, light stretches, a short walk outside, and journaling. But today, he notices the phone sitting on his desk, notifications blinking. Normally, he might have picked it up, scrolling through social media, emails, and news, letting the mind wander before the day even began. Today, he pauses. He recognizes the pull. He acknowledges it. "I see you, phone. I notice you want my attention." Then he returns his attention to the notebook in front of him, to his breathing, to his intentions for the day. This simple act, acknowledging distractions without surrendering to them, is a powerful habit. Successful people call it awareness. They understand that distractions are part of life, but they do not control the choices. After completing his morning walk, Daniel sits down to plan his day. He writes 3 clear tasks for the morning, knowing that having a simple plan reduces the mental space for distractions. He notices that without a plan, even small interruptions can pull him off track. With a plan, he has a reference point. He can ask himself, does this help me achieve my priorities, or is it a distraction? This simple question becomes a guiding principle throughout the day. The morning progresses and Daniel begins work. A colleague calls unexpectedly with a question that is not urgent but interesting. Daniel notices his mind immediately jumping to curiosity, imagining all the possibilities of conversation. He takes a breath. He reminds himself of the task at hand. He acknowledges the colleague's question and suggests a brief meeting after completing his current priority. By doing this, he practices saying "not now" without guilt, protecting his focus while maintaining respect and relationships. This is another subtle skill successful people develop: setting boundaries, even in small ways, that preserve energy for what truly matters. Around midday, Daniel's phone buzzes with notifications again. Social media posts, messages from friends, news alerts. Each one has the potential to pull him away from focus. He takes a moment to reflect. He notices the temptation, the little excitement, the fear of missing out. And then he returns attention to the task he had chosen. He repeats a simple mantra: focus, breathe, continue. Over time, these small repetitions strengthen the mind. Distractions no longer have immediate power. They are noticed and released. This mental training, Daniel realizes, is like physical exercise. Each time he resists the pull of distraction, he strengthens his mental muscle. After lunch, Daniel walks outside for a short break. The streets are busy, people rushing past him. He observes them without judgment, noticing their movements, their expressions, their urgency. He feels a quiet sense of separation. The external world may be chaotic, but his mind can remain centered. He uses the moment to practice mindfulness, another habit successful people cultivate. Mindfulness is not complicated. It is simple awareness of the present moment without judgment. Even 5 minutes of mindful walking refreshes energy, clears mental clutter, and strengthens the ability to return focus after distractions. Returning to work, Daniel encounters a technical problem with his computer. Normally, this would frustrate him. He would waste energy worrying, cursing the situation, or panicking. Today, he notices the rising tension and takes a deliberate pause. He breathes deeply and approaches the problem step by step. He solves it methodically, without rushing or giving in to stress. By managing his reactions, he maintains focus and avoids letting frustration become a distraction from other important tasks. He realizes a key truth: distractions are not only external, emails, messages, noise, but also internal, stress, worry, irritation. Managing both types requires awareness, calm, and habit. As the afternoon continues, Daniel's productivity increases. He notices the difference in his mental energy compared to days without structured habits. Distractions are present, but they are manageable. Tasks are completed efficiently. His mind is calm, clear, and focused. This internal state, he realizes, is more valuable than the completion of any single task. Successful people do not rely on talent or luck alone. They rely on the consistency of habits that manage attention, energy, and focus. Daniel feels a quiet satisfaction knowing that even small improvements in handling distractions compound over time, creating long-term benefits. In the evening, Daniel sits on his balcony. The sun is low, the city glowing with lights, cars moving slowly through the streets. He reflects on the day. Moments of distraction were inevitable, yet manageable. Moments of stress appeared, yet were navigated calmly. He writes in his notebook, "Today I noticed distractions without being pulled in. I maintained focus and completed my tasks with calm. I feel proud." This simple act of recording lessons reinforces learning. Reflection, habit, and awareness combine to build a stronger mind. After dinner, Daniel practices a short meditation. He closes his eyes, notices thoughts arising without judgment, and returns attention to his breath. The meditation is brief but powerful, reinforcing mental discipline and awareness of distractions. Successful people often use meditation or quiet reflection to recharge the mind, not just relax. The practice trains the brain to notice distractions, acknowledge them, and choose focus. Over time, these habits create a resilient, adaptable mind capable of navigating challenges with calm and clarity. Finally, Daniel prepares for bed. He reviews the day, noticing progress and areas for improvement. He reflects on how distractions were handled, how focus was maintained, and how awareness created calm. This reflection is not about criticism, but about understanding patterns, reinforcing habits, and preparing for tomorrow. He writes a final note in his journal: "Small choices, consistently made, shape focus and life. Awareness is power. Calm is strength." These words are simple, yet they carry profound meaning for anyone practicing intentional habits. As Daniel lies in bed, he understands something essential: the world will always offer distractions. Emails, messages, social media, news, people, tasks, worries, they will never disappear. What changes is the ability to notice them and return to what matters. Successful people do not live in distraction-free worlds. They live in worlds where awareness and habits create focus and calm. Daniel feels ready for tomorrow, knowing that the practice of managing distractions, step by step, moment by moment, is a journey. It is not a single achievement, but a skill built over time, like a tree growing slowly, day by day. Sleep comes gently. Daniel feels a quiet strength in knowing he can face distractions without losing focus, that habits protect attention, that awareness empowers calm. Tomorrow, he will wake, follow his morning routine, plan his day, manage distractions, reflect in the evening, and close with gratitude. Each day adds another layer of resilience, focus, and growth. And in this repetition, Daniel discovers the quiet truth that underlies success. Attention is the most valuable resource, and habits are the tools that protect and direct it. The next morning, Daniel wakes with the soft glow of sunrise filling his room. He stretches, feeling the warmth of the bed beneath him and the gentle tension in his muscles as they awaken. Today, he decides to focus on mindset, the mental attitude that shapes every thought, decision, and action. Successful people often say that mindset is more important than talent, more important than resources, because how you see the world determines how you respond to it. Daniel realizes that his habits, morning routine, reflection, exercise, and awareness of distractions are all tools, but the lens through which he views the day, his mindset, will determine how powerful those tools become. He begins the day as usual, drinking a glass of water, walking outside, and noticing the soft light, the rustle of leaves, and the crisp air. But today, his journaling has a new focus. He writes, "How do I want to feel today? Calm, focused, confident." By setting his emotional intention first, Daniel is practicing what successful people call priming the mind. This is the habit of beginning with awareness of internal state before reacting to the external world. It is a small but powerful choice, starting the day by choosing thoughts, feelings, and attitudes rather than letting them be chosen by circumstances. As Daniel walks, he notices the streets slowly filling with people heading to work. Some seem rushed, stressed, impatient. Others smile, greet each other, and move with calm confidence. He observes without judgment, realizing that mindset affects behavior and perception. People with calm, focused mindsets navigate challenges smoothly. People with anxious or negative mindsets often magnify problems and distractions. Daniel reflects that he has a choice. He can carry yesterday's calm into today or allow external chaos to shape his mind. He chooses calm. He chooses focus. He chooses awareness. At his desk, Daniel writes down his 3 most important goals for the day. He considers not only what tasks he wants to complete, but also how he wants to respond emotionally. He adds notes such as, when stressed, pause and breathe. When challenged, focus on solutions. When distracted, notice and return to priority. By combining tasks with mindset reminders, he integrates action and thought. Successful people often blend productivity with mental frameworks because work is not just about doing, it is about thinking, feeling, and responding deliberately. Daniel notices a sense of control forming as he writes these reminders. His mind is not reacting, it is directing. During the morning, Daniel faces the usual challenges. Emails pile up, a colleague asks for urgent assistance, a technical issue appears. In the past, these would have triggered stress, frustration, and hurried action. Today, Daniel pauses before reacting. He remembers his mindset intentions. He breathes, reassesses priorities, and chooses responses that align with calm, focus, and confidence. By practicing mindset awareness, he notices that tasks feel easier, distractions less disruptive, and decisions clearer. This is a subtle but powerful insight. Mindset shapes perception, which shapes action, which shapes results. Success is often built not on what happens, but on how the mind interprets and responds to what happens. During a mid-morning break, Daniel practices a habit of mental rehearsal. He closes his eyes for a few minutes and imagines the tasks ahead, responding to emails calmly, completing a project efficiently, handling challenges thoughtfully. He visualizes obstacles and imagines responding with patience and focus. This is another habit successful people use: visualization of performance. It strengthens the mind by creating familiarity, confidence, and a sense of control. Daniel notices that the act of visualizing makes the day feel manageable and his mind more prepared. He feels a sense of quiet readiness that he has never experienced before. By noon, Daniel begins to notice another effect of mindset: perception. Tasks that might have seemed overwhelming now feel manageable. Small challenges appear as opportunities to practice skills. Distractions become temporary detours rather than barriers. People's behavior, sometimes frustrating or confusing, is interpreted neutrally rather than personally. Mindset transforms not only actions but also experience. Daniel realizes that successful people often credit mindset for their ability to remain calm and effective under pressure. Habits matter, tools matter, but the mind decides whether they work or fail. At lunch, Daniel reflects on these lessons. He writes in his notebook, "Today, mindset shapes my perception and my response. Calm, focus, confidence guide me. External chaos does not control me." He feels the truth of these words deeply. Successful people repeatedly return to this idea. Life is not about external events alone, but about how we respond to them. Every task, every conversation, every challenge is filtered through mindset. And because mindset is a habit like any other, it can be trained, strengthened, and refined. In the afternoon, Daniel faces a particularly tricky situation. A project he thought was complete has a mistake, and a manager is upset. In the past, this would have triggered panic or guilt. Today, Daniel pauses, breathes, and applies mindset training. He views the problem as solvable, chooses calm and deliberate action, communicates clearly, and resolves the issue. By staying grounded in a focused mindset, he notices less stress, faster problem-solving, and better collaboration. This reinforces the habit of intentional mindset, showing him that thoughts and attitudes directly impact outcomes. After work, Daniel takes a mindful walk to observe the evening sky. He reflects on how mindset influenced the day. He notices that morning intentions, calm, focus, confidence, shaped each interaction and decision. He notices that distractions had less power, that challenges felt like opportunities to practice skills, that tasks were completed efficiently. By choosing mindset consciously, he was able to navigate the day rather than being carried by it. Successful people often repeat this reflection daily, understanding that the mind is their most powerful tool. During his evening routine, Daniel journals about lessons learned. He writes, "Mindset is the foundation. Habits, routines, and focus are tools. Calm and clarity guide action. Distractions, challenges, and stress are tests for my mindset." He notices a sense of strength forming, a quiet confidence that is not boastful, but grounded in practice. This is an essential lesson. Mindset is like soil. Habits are seeds. The choices and actions of the day are the water and sun. Growth requires all elements, but mindset provides the environment in which success flourishes. Daniel ends the day with his gratitude practice. He writes 3 things he is grateful for: the clarity of thought in the morning, the ability to remain calm under pressure, and the lessons learned from small challenges. Gratitude reinforces mindset, creating a positive feedback loop. Successful people often combine mindset and gratitude because noticing progress and appreciation strengthens focus, motivation, and resilience. Daniel feels warmth in his chest as he writes, realizing that the mind can be trained not only for performance, but also for appreciation and joy. Finally, Daniel prepares for sleep. He reviews the day silently, noticing the impact of mindset on thoughts, decisions, and emotions. He feels satisfaction not only for completed tasks, but for deliberate choices, awareness, and consistent practice. Tomorrow, he will wake, repeat his morning routine, set intentions, practice focus, manage distractions, and reflect with gratitude. Step by step, day by day, mindset is strengthened, and life becomes a sequence of intentional choices rather than reactions. As Daniel drifts to sleep, he experiences a sense of quiet empowerment. Mindset, he understands, is the foundation of successful living. It shapes habits, actions, perception, and even emotional response. A calm, focused, confident mind is a tool more powerful than any resource, skill, or circumstance. And by practicing awareness and intention daily, Daniel knows he is building not only success, but resilience, peace, and mastery over his life. The morning mindset, he realizes, is not just a start, it is the seed from which the day grows. And with each day, that seed becomes stronger, rooted in consistent habits, awareness of distractions, and deliberate reflection. Success, he understands, is not an event. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a cultivated environment within the mind that shapes every action and reaction. Tonight, Daniel sleeps with confidence and calm. He knows that tomorrow will bring challenges, distractions, and tasks, but his mind is trained to navigate them intentionally. He knows that mindset, habits, and reflection create a life of focus, growth, and peace. And in this understanding, Daniel feels the quiet strength that successful people carry every day, the power to shape life from the inside out. The next morning, Daniel wakes once again to the soft glow of dawn. The sky is tinged with pink and gold, and a calm stillness fills the room. Today, he decides to focus on movement, the energy it brings to both body and mind. Successful people often speak of the importance of physical energy, not as exercise for appearance, but as a foundation for focus, mood, and resilience. Daniel knows that movement in the morning awakens more than the body. It awakens clarity, creativity, and emotional balance. He starts as usual, a glass of water, gentle stretching, and a short walk outside. But today, he pays attention to the way his body feels. His muscles wake slowly, joints creak a little, and his breath deepens. He notices the rhythm of his steps, the feeling of feet connecting with the ground, and the freshness of the air filling his lungs. This simple awareness transforms ordinary motion into mindful movement. Successful people understand that physical awareness is not separate from mental awareness. They are interconnected. The body moves, the mind focuses, and the emotions settle into calm confidence. After the walk, Daniel decides to add a new habit, a short, energizing routine that combines stretching, balance, and gentle strength exercises. He follows each movement slowly, deliberately, noticing how muscles respond, how breath coordinates with motion, and how energy begins to flow through the body. This is more than exercise, it is a practice of presence. Each repetition trains not only the muscles, but also the mind. Attention to movement strengthens focus, improves awareness of the body's signals, and creates a sense of vitality that carries into the day. Returning home, he takes a shower and prepares for work. The effects of movement are already evident. His mind feels sharper, emotions more stable, and motivation stronger. He reflects on the idea that successful people prioritize energy management as much as time management. Habits, planning, and focus matter, but without energy, they are difficult to sustain. Morning movement, even for 15 to 20 minutes, amplifies the effectiveness of all other habits. Daniel feels this truth physically and mentally, noticing that small, consistent energy habits compound over time. At his desk, Daniel begins the workday with renewed vigor. Emails are answered promptly, tasks are approached methodically, and creative problem-solving flows more easily. Movement has given him a sense of momentum. Successful people often describe momentum as a key to productivity. Once the mind and body are aligned, action flows naturally. Physical energy translates into mental energy. Small efforts, repeated daily, create a rhythm where focus, productivity, and resilience reinforce each other. Daniel feels this rhythm today. As the morning progresses, he notices how physical habits affect emotional regulation. A difficult conversation with a colleague arises. Normally, stress would spike his heart rate, trigger tension in his shoulders, and create a sense of overwhelm. But today, the energy from his morning movement keeps him calm and grounded. He listens carefully, speaks thoughtfully, and handles the situation with confidence. Movement, he realizes, is not just physical, it is emotional preparation. It gives the body the strength to support the mind and the mind the stability to manage emotion. At midday, Daniel takes a brief walk outside to stretch and reset. The act of stepping away from the desk, walking with awareness, and feeling the rhythm of movement refreshes both body and mind. He observes the city, people moving with purpose, sunlight reflecting on windows, leaves swaying in the breeze. Movement is now connected to mindfulness. Awareness, reflection, and motion together create a synergy that strengthens focus, reduces stress, and amplifies creativity. Successful people often integrate such practices, short walks, light exercise, stretching breaks, because they know that energy is cyclical and small habits maintain high levels of performance throughout the day. In the afternoon, Daniel faces multiple challenges at work. Deadlines are approaching, tasks are complex, and emails keep arriving. He notices that fatigue can become a distraction, but the morning's movement habit has built a reserve of energy. He uses brief stretches, deep breathing, and posture adjustments to maintain alertness. Even small movements, rolling shoulders, standing briefly, walking across the room, help maintain focus. Habits of movement, he realizes, are not just about fitness, they're about sustaining consistent performance throughout the day. Energy management is a skill, and daily practice reinforces it. By evening, Daniel feels the effects of intentional movement. His mind is still clear, his body is still responsive, and his emotions remain balanced. He notices that the combination of habits, morning water, journaling, reflection, distraction management, mindset, and movement, creates a holistic approach to the day. Energy supports focus, which supports productivity, which supports calm. Each habit reinforces the others. The body and mind are not separate, they are partners in navigating life successfully. After dinner, Daniel continues his reflection. He writes in his notebook, "Movement creates energy. Energy fuels focus. Focus strengthens mindset. Mindset shapes response." He notices that physical awareness amplifies mental awareness. By intentionally moving, stretching, walking, and noticing sensations, he feels stronger and more capable of handling challenges. Small, consistent actions compound over time. Success, he realizes, is not only in tasks completed, but in the energy maintained to approach each task with clarity and calm. In the evening, Daniel practices a gentle wind-down routine that combines light stretching and mindful breathing. This reinforces the habit of energy management while also preparing the body for restful sleep. Successful people understand that energy is cyclical. It is created, expended, restored, and reinforced. By practicing awareness of energy in the morning and maintaining it throughout the day, Daniel ensures that productivity, focus, and calm are sustainable. Before bed, Daniel reflects on the day and writes 3 things he is grateful for: the energy he felt in the morning, the clarity maintained throughout tasks, and the calmness in handling challenges. Gratitude reinforces both mindset and physical awareness. Successful people often combine energy habits with reflection and gratitude because it strengthens the feedback loop between action, awareness, and reward. Daniel feels satisfaction not from external achievements alone, but from the internal alignment of body, mind, and emotion. Finally, Daniel prepares for sleep. He lies in bed, noticing the sensations of his body and the calm rhythm of his breath. Movement has created a foundation not only for physical wellness, but for mental clarity and emotional stability. Habits of intentional movement are not a task to check off. They're a source of vitality that touches every aspect of life. Daniel realizes that successful people do not rely solely on effort or talent. They rely on energy, the quality of focus, and the ability to respond intentionally. As he drifts to sleep, Daniel reflects on the key lesson: energy is not merely physical, it is the foundation for focus, resilience, and intentional action. Movement is a habit that cultivates energy, awareness, and presence. By practicing it consistently, he creates a day that flows naturally, calmly, and productively. Tomorrow, he will wake again, follow his routines, manage distractions, strengthen mindset, and integrate movement to carry energy through the day. Each habit, each step, and each choice compounds over time, creating a life of strength, calm, and success. Daniel sleeps with a sense of quiet vitality, knowing that movement powers not just the body, but the mind and heart. Morning energy sets the stage for the day, and consistent practice ensures that each day builds upon the last. Habits, mindset, focus, reflection, and energy together, they form the foundation of success. And in this understanding, Daniel experiences the quiet confidence that successful people carry, the knowledge that the day, the mind, and the body can be shaped intentionally, step by step, habit by habit. The next morning, Daniel wakes slowly, feeling the soft light of sunrise brushing through his window. He stretches, breathes deeply, and notices a subtle awareness of his body, how it feels after the energy of yesterday's morning movement. Today, he decides to focus on nutrition, not as a diet or strict plan, but as mindful nourishment, the habit of choosing foods and habits that fuel body, mind, and mood. Successful people often emphasize the importance of energy from nutrition because what we eat affects not only physical performance, but also mental clarity, focus, and emotional resilience. Daniel wants to experiment with this awareness today. He starts his routine with water, drinking slowly and feeling it awaken his body. Then he steps outside for his short morning walk, noticing the air, the sounds, and the rhythm of his steps. Mindful awareness is already shaping the day, and now it extends into his choice of breakfast. He decides on a simple, balanced meal: oatmeal with fresh fruit, a handful of nuts, and a cup of green tea. Each bite, he eats slowly, noticing texture, flavor, and the sensation of fullness. Eating mindfully, Daniel realizes, is not just about nutrients, it is about being present, appreciating food, and connecting energy intake with awareness of body needs. As he eats, he reflects on how successful people treat nutrition, not as punishment or restriction, but as fuel for performance, focus, and emotional balance. Habits of mindful eating reduce mindless snacking, increase awareness of hunger and satiety, and stabilize energy levels. Daniel notices that the oatmeal and fruit provide a gentle but steady boost of energy, unlike sugary pastries he might have chosen in the past. This awareness is a subtle but powerful habit, learning to notice how different foods make the body feel and respond, and choosing what supports calm, focus, and vitality. After breakfast, Daniel sits with his notebook, writing intentions for the day. He considers not only tasks and mindset, but also the quality of energy he wishes to sustain through nutrition. He writes, "Eat to fuel focus. Notice my energy after meals. Choose foods that support clarity and calm." Even these few words create a framework for the day. Successful people recognize that nutrition is intertwined with mindset and performance. Energy is not just created through movement or rest, it is also created by conscious choices about food, hydration, and timing. Throughout the morning, Daniel notices the subtle effects of nutrition on focus. He feels steady energy while working on emails, projects, and problem solving. His mind does not feel foggy or jittery. Small habits, preparing a balanced breakfast, drinking water, avoiding processed sugar, create a foundation for sustained attention and productivity. This is another insight. Small choices repeated consistently compound over time. Success, in part, is the accumulation of tiny, intentional actions that maintain clarity, energy, and calm. During mid-morning, Daniel notices a small craving for a snack. Instead of reaching automatically for whatever is nearby, he pauses. He asks himself, am I truly hungry or am I seeking distraction? Awareness of internal signals, another habit successful people cultivate, allows him to respond intentionally. He chooses a handful of almonds, mindful of the texture, flavor, and satisfaction they bring. Even small decisions about nutrition become exercises in awareness, self-regulation, and intentional living. Lunch arrives, and Daniel continues the practice of mindful eating. He prepares a light, balanced meal with vegetables, lean protein, and whole grains. He eats slowly, focusing on each bite, noticing flavors, textures, and sensations. Eating mindfully extends the benefits of nutrition beyond physical energy. It stabilizes emotions, strengthens awareness, and reinforces the habit of intentional living. By the time he finishes lunch, Daniel feels nourished, focused, and calm. Successful people often describe this steady energy as crucial. When the body is nourished appropriately, the mind is free to focus, create, and respond without distraction. In the afternoon, Daniel faces multiple tasks and minor stressors. He notices that the consistent nutrition from breakfast and lunch supports calm and focus. Energy dips, common in mid-afternoon, are reduced by small habits, a mindful snack, water, and movement breaks. These small choices may seem insignificant, yet they compound over time, creating resilience, clarity, and performance that lasts throughout the day. Daniel begins to understand a larger truth. The quality of energy influences the quality of thought, mood, and action. Nutrition is not only about the body, it is a cornerstone of intentional living. After work, Daniel prepares dinner. He chooses fresh vegetables, grains, and moderate protein, cooking mindfully. He notices aromas, textures, and the beauty of ingredients. This practice, he realizes, strengthens both mindfulness and appreciation. Successful people often emphasize that preparing and eating food consciously is a form of meditation, grounding, and energy management. Daniel reflects on how habits of nutrition reinforce other habits. Energy from food supports focus, which enhances productivity, which reduces stress, which improves sleep, creating a positive cycle of intentional living. During the evening, Daniel sits quietly with a cup of herbal tea. He reflects on the day, noticing how mindful nutrition influenced his energy, mood, and productivity. He writes in his notebook, "Food fuels my body, mind, and focus. Awareness of energy helps me make better choices." Small habits compound over time. Gratitude, another habit he maintains, follows naturally. He feels appreciation for the nourishment, for the energy to complete tasks, and for the calmness that awareness creates. As bedtime approaches, Daniel practices a light stretch and breath-focused routine, further reinforcing the connection between body, mind, and energy. Sleep is more restful when nutrition, movement, and awareness are aligned. Successful people recognize that energy management begins long before challenges arise. It is built through morning routines, conscious habits, and attention to daily choices like movement, nutrition, and mindfulness. Daniel understands that consistency in these habits creates sustainable focus, calm, and performance. Finally, lying in bed, Daniel reflects on a deeper understanding. The quality of his day is influenced not only by actions and mindset, but also by the energy his body receives through nourishment. Nutrition, he realizes, is not a separate task. It is part of the integrated system of habits, mindset, focus, and movement that support success. Eating consciously, choosing wisely, and noticing responses are small but powerful habits that shape not only physical health, but mental clarity and emotional resilience. As he drifts to sleep, Daniel feels gratitude for the day, calmness for the evening, and readiness for tomorrow. He knows that mindful nutrition will continue to support his routines, energy, focus, and habits. Step by step, habit by habit, day by day, Daniel is creating a life where intentional choices shape not only productivity but clarity, calm, and joy. Nutrition, he realizes, is energy in action, and energy is the foundation upon which successful days are built. Tonight, Daniel sleeps with awareness of how mind, body, and energy connect. He feels prepared for the next day, confident that the combination of habits, morning routine, movement, mindset, focus, nutrition, and reflection, creates a cycle of intentional living. Each day builds on the previous one, reinforcing habits, strengthening energy, and deepening awareness. And in this quiet understanding, Daniel experiences the core principle of successful living. Life is shaped not by chance, but by consistent, mindful, intentional choices. The next morning, Daniel wakes to the soft, quiet light of dawn. Today, he decides to focus on planning, not just making a to-do list, but intentionally designing his day with purpose, clarity, and focus. Successful people often say that planning is one of the most powerful habits because it creates structure, reduces stress, and ensures energy and attention are directed toward what truly matters. Daniel understands that a well-planned day is not rigid, but intentional, and he wants to explore how planning affects his productivity, mindset, and overall energy. He begins as usual with water, stretching, and a short walk outside. The cool morning air sharpens his senses, and his mind feels alert. After returning, he sits at his desk with a notebook and begins his morning planning session. But this time, he approaches it differently. Instead of writing down everything he might do, he asks a simple question: what are the 3 most important things I must accomplish today? Limiting focus to 3 priorities ensures that he does not waste mental energy on trivial tasks. Successful people often emphasize the value of identifying priorities clearly, knowing that energy is limited and focus is precious. Daniel writes down his 3 priorities. He reviews each one carefully, visualizing completing them successfully. He considers potential challenges and obstacles and thinks about how he will respond calmly and efficiently. By anticipating problems, he reduces the likelihood of being caught off guard. He also schedules breaks and short movement sessions to maintain energy. Planning in this way is not about controlling every moment. It is about creating a roadmap that allows him to navigate the day with focus and calm. As he begins work, Daniel notices the effect of planning immediately. His mind feels less scattered. When emails arrive, he evaluates whether responding immediately aligns with his priorities or if it can wait. When a colleague requests help, he assesses the urgency and fits it into his schedule rather than reacting impulsively. Planning has created mental clarity. Instead of being driven by external events, he is guiding his day intentionally. This is one of the subtle powers of planning. It gives freedom by creating structure. Mid-morning, Daniel reflects on the difference between planning and perfectionism. Planning does not mean predicting every detail. It does not mean avoiding mistakes or unexpected changes. Successful people recognize that flexibility is part of effective planning. Daniel writes in his notebook, "Plan intentionally, but adapt gracefully." This mantra becomes a guide for handling unexpected challenges without losing focus or calm. Today, he practices this by responding to a sudden project change calmly, adjusting his priorities without stress and maintaining his focus on the most important tasks. During lunch, Daniel reviews his progress. He notices that having clear priorities allows him to feel accomplishment even if everything is not completed. The sense of achievement comes from focusing on what truly matters. Successful people often emphasize that completion is less important than progress on meaningful goals. By planning intentionally and focusing on priorities, Daniel is practicing the habit of working smarter, not just harder. In the afternoon, Daniel faces a situation that would normally be stressful. A client provides unexpected feedback, requiring him to redo part of a project. Without a plan, this could derail the entire afternoon. But today, his planning habit allows him to respond calmly. He breaks the task into smaller steps, schedules them within his available time, and communicates clearly with the client. By following his intentional plan, he avoids panic, maintains focus, and still progresses toward his priorities. This is a key lesson. Planning does not remove challenges, but it prepares the mind to navigate them efficiently. Later in the afternoon, Daniel reflects on how planning influences mindset and energy. Knowing that he has a roadmap reduces stress. Mental energy is not wasted on worrying about what to do next. Decisions are made with intention rather than reaction. Planning creates clarity, and clarity protects focus. Daniel writes, "Planning shapes my day, my mind, and my energy. It reduces stress and strengthens focus." He begins to see that planning is more than a tool. It is a habit that cultivates calm, confidence, and control over one's life. As the workday ends, Daniel reviews his completed tasks and adjusts plans for tomorrow. He notes what went well and what could be improved. Reflection is an essential component of planning. Successful people often combine planning with review, recognizing that thoughtful reflection strengthens future decision-making and enhances habits. Daniel writes in his notebook, "Reflecting on progress and challenges makes planning stronger." Small adjustments compound over time. This simple awareness reinforces the habit and builds a continuous improvement cycle. During the evening, Daniel combines planning with other habits. He prepares a balanced meal, takes a mindful walk, and practices gratitude. Planning, he realizes, is connected to all other habits. It supports focus, preserves energy, and guides intentional action. The integration of planning, movement, nutrition, mindset, and distraction management creates a holistic approach to the day. Each habit reinforces the others, and the cumulative effect is calm, clarity, and productive energy. Before bed, Daniel reviews his notes. He reflects on the day, feeling satisfaction not only from what he accomplished, but from how he approached it. Planning allowed him to navigate challenges, maintain focus, and act intentionally. He writes a final note, "Intentional planning directs my energy and attention. Clear priorities create calm and focus. Reflection strengthens habits and prepares me for tomorrow." This simple practice of review, reflection, and gratitude reinforces planning as a daily habit and strengthens his ability to act intentionally. As Daniel drifts to sleep, he understands the quiet power of planning. It is not rigid or stressful. It is a tool to guide energy, focus, and action toward what matters most. Successful people often rely on planning not to control life, but to create mental space, clarity, and freedom. By setting priorities, anticipating obstacles, and reflecting on progress, Daniel experiences a sense of mastery over his day, even as challenges arise. Planning, he realizes, is both a shield against chaos and a compass for growth. Tomorrow, he will wake again, follow his morning routine, integrate movement, fuel his body mindfully, set intentions, manage distractions, maintain mindset, and plan with purpose. Each habit, when repeated consistently, compounds into skill, clarity, and calm. Daniel feels gratitude, satisfaction, and readiness for another intentional day. Planning, he reflects, is not just a task, it is a mindset, a practice, and a habit that supports all other aspects of success. Tonight, Daniel sleeps peacefully, confident that the structure he creates each morning sets the stage for calm, focus, and achievement. Planning, like energy, movement, mindset, and nutrition, is not an isolated habit. It is part of an integrated system that shapes life intentionally, step by step, choice by choice. And in this awareness, Daniel feels the quiet satisfaction and empowerment that successful people carry each day, the ability to design life from the inside out, one intentional step at a time. Successful people often say that planning is one of the most powerful habits because it creates structure, reduces stress, and ensures energy and attention are directed toward what truly matters. Daniel understands that a well-planned day is not rigid, but intentional, and he wants to explore how planning affects his productivity, mindset, and overall energy. He begins as usual with water, stretching, and a short walk outside. The cool morning air sharpens his senses, and his mind feels alert. After returning, he sits at his desk with a notebook and begins his morning planning session. But this time, he approaches it differently. Instead of writing down everything he might do, he asks a simple question: what are the 3 most important things I must accomplish today? Limiting focus to 3 priorities ensures that he does not waste mental energy on trivial tasks. Successful people often emphasize the value of identifying priorities clearly, knowing that energy is limited and focus is precious. Daniel writes down his 3 priorities. He reviews each one carefully, visualizing completing them successfully. He considers potential challenges and obstacles and thinks about how he will respond calmly and efficiently. By anticipating problems, he reduces the likelihood of being caught off guard. He also schedules breaks and short movement sessions to maintain energy. Planning in this way is not about controlling every moment. It is about creating a roadmap that allows him to navigate the day with focus and calm. As he begins work, Daniel notices the effect of planning immediately. His mind feels less scattered. When emails arrive, he evaluates whether responding immediately aligns with his priorities or if it can wait. When a colleague requests help, he assesses the urgency and fits it into his schedule rather than reacting impulsively. Planning has created mental clarity. Instead of being driven by external events, he is guiding his day intentionally. This is one of the subtle powers of planning. It gives freedom by creating structure. Mid-morning, Daniel reflects on the difference between planning and perfectionism. Planning does not mean predicting every detail. It does not mean avoiding mistakes or unexpected changes. Successful people recognize that flexibility is part of effective planning. Daniel writes in his notebook, "Plan intentionally, but adapt gracefully." This mantra becomes a guide for handling unexpected challenges without losing focus or calm. Today, he practices this by responding to a sudden project change calmly, adjusting his priorities without stress, and maintaining his focus on the most important tasks. During lunch, Daniel reviews his progress. He notices that having clear priorities allows him to feel accomplishment even if everything is not completed. The sense of achievement comes from focusing on what truly matters. Successful people often emphasize that completion is less important than progress on meaningful goals. By planning intentionally and focusing on priorities, Daniel is practicing the habit of working smarter, not just harder. In the afternoon, Daniel faces a situation that would normally be stressful. A client provides unexpected feedback, requiring him to redo part of a project. Without a plan, this could derail the entire afternoon. But today, his planning habit allows him to respond calmly. He breaks the task into smaller steps, schedules them within his available time, and communicates clearly with the client. By following his intentional plan, he avoids panic, maintains focus, and still progresses toward his priorities. This is a key lesson. Planning does not remove challenges, but it prepares the mind to navigate them efficiently. Later in the afternoon, Daniel reflects on how planning influences mindset and energy. Knowing that he has a roadmap reduces stress. Mental energy is not wasted on worrying about what to do next. Decisions are made with intention rather than reaction. Planning creates clarity, and clarity protects focus. Daniel writes, "Planning shapes my day, my mind, and my energy. It reduces stress and strengthens focus." He begins to see that planning is more than a tool. It is a habit that cultivates calm, confidence, and control over one's life. As the workday ends, Daniel reviews his completed tasks and adjusts plans for tomorrow. He notes what went well and what could be improved. Reflection is an essential component of planning. Successful people often combine planning with review, recognizing that thoughtful reflection strengthens future decision-making and enhances habits. Daniel writes in his notebook, "Reflecting on progress and challenges makes planning stronger. Small adjustments compound over time." This simple awareness reinforces the habit and builds a continuous improvement cycle. During the evening, Daniel combines planning with other habits. He prepares a balanced meal, takes a mindful walk, and practices gratitude. Planning, he realizes, is connected to all other habits. It supports focus, preserves energy, and guides intentional action. The integration of planning, movement, nutrition, mindset, and distraction management creates a holistic approach to the day. Each habit reinforces the others, and the cumulative effect is calm, clarity, and productive energy. Before bed, Daniel reviews his notes. He reflects on the day, feeling satisfaction not only from what he accomplished, but from how he approached it. Planning allowed him to navigate challenges, maintain focus, and act intentionally. He writes a final note, "Intentional planning directs my energy and attention. Clear priorities create calm and focus. Reflection strengthens habits and prepares me for tomorrow." This simple practice of review, reflection, and gratitude reinforces planning as a daily habit and strengthens his ability to act intentionally. As Daniel drifts to sleep, he understands the quiet power of planning. It is not rigid or stressful. It is a tool to guide energy, focus, and action toward what matters most. Successful people often rely on planning not to control life, but to create mental space, clarity, and freedom. By setting priorities, anticipating obstacles, and reflecting on progress, Daniel experiences a sense of mastery over his day, even as challenges arise. Planning, he realizes, is both a shield against chaos and a compass for growth. Tomorrow, he will wake again, follow his morning routine, integrate movement, fuel his body mindfully, set intentions, manage distractions, maintain mindset, and plan with purpose. Each habit, when repeated consistently, compounds into skill, clarity, and calm. Daniel feels gratitude, satisfaction, and readiness for another intentional day. Planning, he reflects, is not just a task, it is a mindset, a practice, and a habit that supports all other aspects of success. Tonight, Daniel sleeps peacefully, confident that the structure he creates each morning sets the stage for calm, focus, and achievement. Planning, like energy, movement, mindset, and nutrition, is not an isolated habit. It is part of an integrated system that shapes life intentionally, step by step, choice by choice. And in this awareness, Daniel feels the quiet satisfaction and empowerment that successful people carry each day, the ability to design life from the inside out, one intentional step at a time.